Hey, and welcome to another episode of Beatle Dustino. Coming at you again with another video, another What's on the Rack video. And this time will be section 2. This one that's empty right now. Top shelf section 2. There we go. All right, continuing on with the Beatles with this because that's how I've got everything set. Beatles, Paul McCartney. I guess the DVDs ended up in there. More Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison. List goes on. Ringo, Beach Boys, Jimi Hendrix, then into the randoms, I guess. But anyways, we'll just continue on with the series here, so sit back and enjoy. All right, so continuing with the Beatles, of course, last episode, episode 1 there, we covered this section here, just primarily my Beatles albums, the original 87 CDs, and then any of the kind of the new like remix CDs and stuff like that came out, and kind of the variants of the original 87 CDs too. So kind of continuing on there, I said that next it would probably be pretty much the compilations and live albums and such. So I've kind of got to organize the studio albums, live albums, compilations. However, we are going to start with what I think most people would consider a compilation, but these particular compilations I feel really pair well with the albums, and therefore I can't really organize them out of place with the albums. And that is, of course, the Past Masters that were released originally in 1988 to obviously accompany those albums. These finishing up, you know, the singles and the B-sides and such non-album tracks that were on. And like I said, we'll just show the outside and the disc. I guess I didn't show the back there. Get a good view of the track listing. Of course, this is Past Masters Volume 1. And then in 2009, when they reissued these, they did just put everything as just a Past Masters with a 2-disc set. And also I learned recently, doing a little research, which I think is kind of fun that I get to do this, I found out initially 2 Past Masters was done, and I'm sure all you guys know this, but just showing that I've learned something. We always learn something new every day, and this was my learn new the past day or so. There is, initially when this was released on LP, they did release it as just Past Masters also. It was a 2-disc set. So going back as far as the 80s there. But anyway, so there was Volume 1, and there's Volume 2. This, of course, was the first CD I bought of the Beatles. I had my parents' records and a couple of their cassettes. And when I first started buying my Beatles CDs, this one, based on that track listing, was very appealing to me. For a long time, that Day Tripper kicking it off, man, that was the way to go. That was starting out. You knew you were in for a good session of music when that started off, kicking off with that. But yeah, that really was a favorite album of mine for a long while because of that. And still holds a special place in my heart because of that too. Because it led me to get all the rest of these and all the 2009 and all the everything else after that. But anyway, so there's the Past Masters. So that kind of completes the original Beatles 87, 88 releases on that when they were first issued on CD. And now we'll kind of get into compilations, except we're still in albums kind of, because I did decide for some reason that I needed to collect these too, even though I've got the US album box set hiding up here just off camera. You might be able to see just a little bottom of it there, but there it is. But yeah, I don't know. I know they released those individually, aside from the Beatles story. All got released individually. I just kind of want to pick them up because of the, I know it's silly, the Obi strip. And I've left these sealed. And now tell me too, I've noticed something on these. This is A Hard Day's Night, of course. And these were issued in 2014, of course, to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Beatles coming to the US. There's a nice little view of the track listing there on that nice little Obi. I've heard Giggins mention once that he had picked up a couple of copies from a record shop too, like a chain record shop, not just some mom and pop place, anything like that, an actual chain record shop. I can't remember, FYE or whatever it's called. And he noticed that he had some fake ones when he picked those up. I think he picked up 3 or 4 of them, and he noticed a couple of them weren't quite legit looking. And one thing I noticed when I picked these up, I always thought they came in the sealable plastic sleeve. And these ones came in regular shrink wrap, and I have not opened them because I got no purpose of opening them. I've got a copy of it in my box set there. I don't see any sense of opening these past, you know, that. So if they're in a permanent shrink wrap, I'm going to keep them in it. Now mine, I don't see anything, any telltale things telling me that these are not legitimate. Everything looks clear. Everything looks right. So tell me if they were shrink wrapped, because I didn't really collect these when they were first coming out because of the fact I had the box. And I guess I saw them on the shelf in the stores a couple of times, but I just kind of walked by. I didn't think at first that it was something I needed, but now, me being me, I had to have this Obi strip, so I'm out hunting these down. But there's a Hard Day's Night, and next I have got something new, and this one's also in the shrink wrap. Now, I bought most of these, I got either right from Universal Music or the UDiscover store. Show you the track list there. I think a couple of them I got direct from the Beatles store. I was just trying to find who had what available yet. Now the shrink wrap on this one's coming off pretty good here. So this is pretty exposed right there. But yeah, I got these from what I feel like should be pretty legit places. I think I got one or two. This one actually I got off of Target. I do remember that specifically. And this one is in the sealable bag. And I got this direct from Target's website. The early Beatles on this one. And now this one doesn't have the track listing on this. Oh, that's because they were here. Take that back. All right, so there's the track listing. But yeah, this one came from Target. I remember that. And this one is in the sealable bag. And my next one here is Help. The US version of Help. Show you the track listing on the Obi there. And this one also in the sealable bag. I do kind of want to take out the disc and show you, but I'll do that in the what's in the box of the US albums when I do the what's in the box of those. Because the disc should be the same, and like I said, I kind of want to keep these sealed. I'll pop that open like that. And then my last one that I got Revolver, and I'm still kind of hunting down the others and not trying to pay a exorbitant amount for them. And of course, Revolver, all the excitement. When this posts, you'll have already seen my unboxing and reviews of the new remix super deluxe sets and the deluxe sets and LP sets, and oh boy, I'm so excited for it. But yeah, there's the US Revolver. But yeah, those are the 5 that I've somewhat put together so far. Yeah, let me know on that if the fact they were supposed to be in that sealable bag, or if shrink wrap was normal too, I guess. I don't know, maybe some stores felt like they should put in the shrink wrap. But now those ones that are shrink wrapped, I'm very sure I got from UDiscover Music and the Beatles store direct. So that's kind of odd if they're selling knockoff ones. Who knows though. Anyways, there was my handful of US albums that I got outside of the US albums box just to get that Obi strip. Anyways, next up we'll have, and I'm just kind of putting these in order with the regular albums, trying to kind of just keep everything organized. I know some people might organize this in their own little section, but I wanted to keep it with the regular album. And that would be the promo copy of Live at the BBC. My copy here might be a little beat up. I think my hand was kind of hiding that there. Show you the spine there. So the sampler. And this, I remember, really folds out interesting. So we get Paul sitting there, and I believe it folds up. Yep. And there's John. And then it folds out the next way, and we got George. And then we fold this down. We got Ringo. And then the disc, which is kind of, there we go. So pretty cool little sampler. Oh, no. So a pretty cool little sampler. Be careful. I just discovered that glue doesn't hold very well. But yeah, just a cool little sampler there. And of course, if we got the sampler, then that must mean that we got the actual album up next. So there we go. We got Live at the BBC. As you found out in my album ranking video that I did on the compilation live albums, this is my favorite of the Beatles compilation live albums. This was one of the other first Beatles albums I got on CD, aside from Past Masters Volume 2. There we got disc 1 in the book there, and I do want to show you something cool with this book. There is disc 2, and I believe I've still got the copy of, yeah, I do, these old, before the internet. This is how you got other merchandise. Yeah, not even a website to be seen on this thing. On the back, just an 800 number. And I do remember ordering these catalogs. I wish I still had them. Maybe I do. I don't know. I got to dig through all my garbage here, and, well, not garbage, treasures. and see what I've got hiding. Yeah, I remember getting those catalogs and searching through them, and oh, that looks cool, and let's get that. And oh, I wish I could get that bread box Beatles set, but I've already got all the discs, so what's the point of buying all that money for more disc and just the box? But yeah, I remember looking at that. I remember looking at the singles and the EP CD collections and wondering, back then, my teenage mind and also very little money mind, going, what the heck is the sense in that? And nowadays it's like, oh, I gotta have that. Which I do got. That'll be another episode of What's in the Box. So, of course, that came out in 1994 when the Live at the BBC was originally released. And then in 2013, when On Air Live at the BBC was released, we did get a reissue of Live at the BBC. And there is a slightly different track listing, a couple of little changes to it. They did, of course, change the artwork, put it in the digipack, kind of matching the 2009 remastered CDs. And sorry, I'd had that in that wrapper there in the little sleeve. Show it to you outside of it so it doesn't get as bad of a glare in that. And then we'll open it up here. So of course you got the book in there and the disc in here. There's disc 1. And there's disc 2 on the sliced apple. And of course the book. And I'm not going to page through the book at all. And so, of course, we got the reissued Live at the BBC Volume 2 from 2013. That must be next. We got On Air Live at the BBC Volume 2. I really like the Live at the BBC stuff. I really like this material. I think it really shows them what the Beatles do best. There's disc 1 and disc 2. And the book hiding in there with the same advertisement as the other one. Nice picture of them on the back there too, a little different. Yeah, this one didn't really quite do it for me quite like Volume 1 did, though. I still really enjoyed it, though. But of course, anything Beatles, how can you not really enjoy it? It doesn't matter what it is. And I really want to see them release some more Live at the BBC official albums. And then, of course, in 2013, also with that, and I've still got this in the shrink wrap, so I'm not going to show you much past that. Show you the box here, though. They did release it in a kind of a compilation box here of the 2 albums here, the collection they call it. The top of it there, the bottom just got your info there, and then the spine showing the 2 discs there. So yeah, I just had to add this in because I collect it all, I guess. And then, of course, in 2016, to accompany the 8 Days a Week, the Touring Years film, they released re-released the Live at the Hollywood Bowl. Kind of gave it a slightly different title and added on some bonus tracks. And really remastered it to make it good, and obviously a new front cover here. I love this cover of them in the 65 there. So cool. Did kind of recreate the original at the Hollywood Bowl album cover there with the tickets there. But yeah, it just opens up the digi sleeve like everything since 2009 pretty much has been. Got your booklet in here. Slip out the disc to show you on this one. So that pretty much covers their live albums, of course, their official live albums, I should say. So next up, we are moving on to the compilations, and we'll start official compilations, I should also add, at least how I ordered them. And of course, like I said, I've kind of got anything that promos, whatever that album is, I've got the promo first. So we've got the promo, the CD promo, a little sampler for Beatles 1962 to 1966, and Beatles 1967 to 1970, the red and the blue albums. Of course, they use that awesome image they got recently reused on the Get Back stuff. And this one's just titled Beatles 1962 to 66, 1967 to whatnot there. It's fine, just says The Beatles. And no booklet or anything, it's just that blank sheet on the back there. And then the disc with that cool red and blue split on it. But very glad to have that in my collection. And if you're a betting person, I'm betting you know what comes next. And that would be the initial 1993 issue, a reissue, I should say, of Beatles 1962 to 1966, the Red Album. And I got to be careful to hold this. My spindle doesn't really hold the disc on there very well. But of course the disc, the book there, and then the red case, red fatty jewel case. And there's disc 2, as it almost went flying out as I gotta watch that on that spindle. For some reason, this one did not hold the disc very well. And if you're still placing bets, yeah, if you guessed the Beatles 1967 to 1970, the Blue Album was up next, the 1993 issue again. You were correct. Again, in the fatty box, fatty jewel case. Yes, I can use that terminology. All right. Anyways, oh God, I'll probably get trolls on that one. I've heard it all, so don't. I've been this big for a while. But yeah, there we go. We got the disc there. I'm holding this one too because I don't think these blue and red boxes hold those discs very well. For some reason, I don't know, the spindles just aren't very strong on them. And then if you're still betting, and knowing me, I buy it all. So next will be the 2010 reissue, done in the digi sleeve of the Beatles 1962 to 1966, the Red Album. I'll open up the gatefold here. Oh, hold up disc 1 there. And disc 2. And of course, then we got the book in the pocket here, like all these digi-sleeve releases that they've done. I like that they really uniformed everything, made everything uniform on this. I wish they'd do this with everything. Of course, we haven't got Love, the Let It Be Naked. I think those are the only two. Yeah, just Love and Let It Be Naked. I don't know. And the Anthology. I'd like to see them re-release the Anthology in the digi-sleeve. If you're still making those bets, next we got 1967 to 1970, the Blue Album. I'll show you the spine. Open up the gatefold. Show you this on the book first. I'll pull it out at least. And disc 1. And disc 2. And if you're still betting, is there more Red and Blue Album? Place your bets, and yes, there is. So now we got, much like they did later on, because this came out in 2010, of course. So this course is what Live at the BBC kind of followed. And yes, my poor copy, I've been hunting this down recently, trying to find a halfway decent copy of it. I was hoping to find another sealed one like Live at the BBC, but I could only find this used one, and it was a little worse for wear. But this one, of course, is unsealed, so I can just kind of pop it out and show you. I'm not going to open up anything because everything is exactly the same, but you got exactly what I just showed you. Just housed in a nice little box, which got quite beat up by the previous owner. We'll hold on to it and take care of it here. All right. So is there more Red and Blue albums coming up here on the rack? Place your bets, and let's go. No, and yeah, you lost if you bet for Red and Blue album. We're on to the Anthology now. And I'll start with the Anthology 1 promo sampler here. Unfortunately, I got a copy of it. I think I got this off of Discogs, and unfortunately, and the seller was very clear with it that it did not have the sleeve with it, but it was a good price, and I just wanted to kind of get in the collection. I think this is really cool. And they got this kind of tissue paper that does the Beatles drum head there. And let's make sure stuff doesn't go flying. I love the label on this one. It's really cool, that rainbow kind of look, kind of bridging the gap with the Capitol stuff, I guess. And I suppose this is probably a US issue of it. So I guess Capitol Records might have been, yeah, I do see manufactured by Capitol Records. So kind of a slightly different variation on the Capitol Rainbow label there, though. And then there is a little book in here. I kind of had it in backwards, so there we go. Not much to it, so we'll just kind of show you quick. And this will kind of cover my promo stuff I got. And I don't have everything on this. This is one area where my collection is a little lacking. I'm trying to get it all because I really want everything on CD. I really feel like that's the era that I started collecting. It's the era that I've had a good majority of the collection done through, and it's kind of, I think, a forgotten era in a way. And I feel it's a very important era of the Beatles story on physical media. To me, the CD is kind of my medium. When I started, everything with my venture into popular music and everything, it was vinyl and cassette, yes. CD was unheard of. I know it was out when I was listening to stuff initially. Yeah, there was no way my parents could have afforded it or anything. Yeah, it wasn't until the very early 90s, even well into the 90s, I would say, that I got a CD player and started collecting CDs. But once I did, it was like, that was it. I feel like I've got a connection with CDs, and I've wanted to really get everything Beatles on CD I could possibly find. So, now with the help of the internet and that, I can seek out those kind of oddball things like these promo discs and stuff and find them. Just hopefully I can find a nice copy of that with the slip sleeve. Of course, next, if we got the promo for Anthology 1, that means Anthology 1 must be next. It was released in 95. We'll show you the disc and the book sitting in there, and the fatty jewel case again. And yeah, I was just trying to see if this had the little advertisement thing in it, like Live at the BBC had. It does, but it's stapled right into the book. I thought I remembered that they had these, and this is my original copy. I know some of these older Beatles CDs, like I told the story how I'd given away my original albums to my brother-in-law and sister, share with my nephews, which once they separated, my brother-in-law kept it, and I don't think he's sharing it with my nephews, which pisses me off. I doubt he'll ever see this. However, my nephews did tell me the other day that their favorite YouTuber is Beal Dustino, but they don't watch my show because they don't know how to find it. Anyways, hopefully they'll see this and get a little shout out there to them. Bug your dad. Tell him you want to hear the Beatles CDs that Uncle Dustin gave you, because they're as much yours as they are his. They're more yours than they are his. So there you go. All right. Well, moving on. Almost to the end here. It's going to get a little cut off here, kind of keeping the series together, I guess. But that's just how it works on the shelf, and I'm only showing you what's on that particular section of the shelf. So if it's cut off in the middle, it's cut off in the middle. But up next, we got Anthology 2, the promo sampler. This one, I was just looking at the track listing as I was showing that, and this has got a totally different spine on this, so or at least different color. But this one was a very full track listing compared to the Anthology 1 and the Anthology 3. I don't have the Anthology 3 yet. I guess a little spoiler alert for the next What's on the Rack. There's your disc and the book sitting in there. I do know it is just kind of a truncated version of the book there, and that's kind of cool. The disc tray there does have kind of some cool images there. So, of course, if we just showed you Anthology 2, the promo sampler, that means it must be Anthology 2. The actual one is up next. And just kind of another little story on my collection here. Like I said, these are my original anthologies. I remember buying all of them at Target. And on release day, I remember going in and getting them, all excited to get them. And I do have, and I got to find it, and I'm very sure I've still got it in my collection. And one day I'll show it. Maybe we'll talk a whole story on the anthology. But I do have the original, not quite long boxes, but they were I think if anybody knows, especially in the US, the long boxes. The anthology did come in a long box, and it wasn't quite as long as the other CDs came in. And I know a lot of that stuff I threw away back in the day. And for some reason that I kept. I used to keep it all together, how the artwork, Klaus Fiberman's artwork, all kind of melds together, and I used to kind of display it like that on a desk of mine in my room. I'd have those together, showing the artwork there like that. But yeah, anyways, there was that section of What's on the Rack. So section 2, all said and done. So section 3 will be next. We're still looking at Beatles albums on section 3. I'm looking at it right now, and it's, yeah, the official stuff continued, and my small little collection of gray market, bootleg, whatever you want to call it, albums. I try to stick with the official. We'll talk a little more of that back on that episode, though. Be wrapping this up here, seeing as we finished the rack, and Just want to say, I forgot to say at the beginning, but we'll get it in here. If you like the video, please like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you do get notifications when I do get a new video out. And please leave a comment. I do love talking to everybody. I love all your comments. I love any discussion we can have. I love having it. I've learned a lot from you guys too. I'm always learning, and I'm never going to admit I know everything, because I don't. Yeah, so that'll be Beetle Dustino signing out.